How's it going, guys? Music fan here. How you guys doing? I'm gonna go through a quick track-by-track review of the band's third LP, War, released in 1983. Let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into this. So, number one, Sunday Bloody Sunday. Like as I've said in my original review, this song can keep getting as overrated into the end of the Milky Way and back for all I personally care, at least in my opinion, because Sunday Bloody Sunday is one of U2's best ever songs, one of their best. This song perfectly encapsulates, along with other tracks like I Will Follow and Beautiful Day and Where the Streets Have No Name. This song, more so than others, really encapsulate what U2 is all about. And really, this song is really great because Larry Mullins Jr., his drumming, his really cold and really hard snare drum on this track really signifies that this album is not a typical U2 album, even especially in the early 80s. This song signifies that this band is now serious and we are gonna get in your face, and I could not think of a track to open better with than this song. The other great thing about this track is Edge's guitar, the way he works with his guitar, like those palm muted strings. When he plays those muted strings, like in a very percussive fashion, it almost sounds to the point that it sounds like a machine gun loading and reloading over again. And that really gives like the ominous feel of this track, that this is a track very heavily inspired by military and very evocative of the physical atmosphere of war, of physical warfare. Musically, it's a different thing in comparison to the music. That it's a rallying cry against terrorism, against sectarianism, but not so much even to go against them with warfare or with weapons, but essentially this is an anti-terrorism song, but it's also an anti-war song. Like the lyrics, I think of lyrics like, I won't heed the battle call. It puts my back up against the wall. This like and also lyrics, if I can open up the lyrical booklet real quick. Really really starts off anonymously, like I can't believe the news today. I can't close my eyes and make it go away. Broken bottles under children's feet and bodies strewn across the dead-end street. But I won't heed the battle call, puts my back up against the wall. Like this is a very desperate pleading song. Like despite of how musically abrasive this track sounds, this track lyrically is essentially an anti-terrorism / anti-war song. This is a rallying cry for peace. It's a rallying cry for, it's almost in a sense of like militant pacifism. I know that kind of seems very oxymoronic, but if you look at videos of their live performances, you can see Bono waving a white flag, essentially meaning surrender, in the sense of like surrender violence, like die to violence, surrender to peace, in a sense like peace should be the main factor in dealing with conflicts, with military conflicts, not weapons. Weapons, especially in the hands of groups who have a single-minded idea about things, really should not be a factor in bringing about love and change and community in the world. Really, it's peace that changes the world, and really no other song, at least in my opinion, in my mind, really embodies that rallying cry for world peace than this track, Sunday Bloody Sunday. Again, go to the moon and back for all I care, but it's a fantastic, amazing song. Anyways, next track, Seconds. It kind of really continues this whole militant vibe here, except this is a little more percussive. It's a more percussive track than some, well, both of those songs are percussive, but Seconds especially is a super percussive kind of track. The very unique thing about this song is that at first when you hear it, you'd think Bono is starting off the song, but if you listen a little more closely, it's really Edge that drives the lead in this particular track, at least for the first verse of this song, and it's a very unique thing, at least for me. I think that's really cool that we don't often get Edge and his pure backup vocalist singing. He has a really pure voice when it comes to backup vocals in a way, but at least that's in my opinion, at least. I love the sample there that it has in that song. I believe it came from a soldier. I think it's called Soldier Girls. I think it was a film that was released about women in the military, and really goes along great with this particular track. And really, this track's lyrics really speaks about nuclear warfare and how any terrorist group, whether back then or right now, can easily get their hands on nuclear arsenals, and really warns of the dangers of these kind of groups that really uses their military might to further their empty and very single-minded agendas. And this track really is an ominous warning to that, and it's a warning to every politician that to be cautious of groups that have nuclear warfare. Third track, New Year's Day. What else can I say about this track that hasn't been said already? Adam Clayton's bass. This is his moment to shine, and he shines very well, very not well, but very fantastic on this track. Like, his bass line is the main driving force behind this particular song. I love this song. I really, really do. I remember the first time I heard this track when I was vacationing in Peru years ago. Was the very first time I heard this album in full for the very first time. And this track especially really stood out to me in the sense that, because like, especially what gets to me about this song is when the intro blends into the musical section that the first verse contains itself in, like that passageway between the way Edge's guitar rises up and then Edge just simply plucks it and it lets out this very echoey, even though this album is not really echo driven, it really lets off this very reverb sound that really I love that section between, like, it makes me feel as if I'm flying over snow covered mountains in the middle of winter, and it just feels magnificent. That image, it's just simply epic in my mind. The rest of this track too is also, it should go without saying, it's amazing. It's one of their best ever tracks. Lyrically, Bono, again, like the rest of this album, like blends the political and the personal together. Like you could either view this song as a song about his wife, about his love towards his wife, or you can view this song in solidarity of the Polish solidarity movement around this particular time. Like a Song, track number 4. This is one of their U2's most underrated tracks ever, at least in my opinion. Like this track is another one of those great punk rock numbers, but it's also really dark in a way. Like, it's very yearning and pleading, and it's very probably one of Bono's most passionate vocal performances on here. Like, you will never get a vocal performance really as yearning and as intense as this track. Like, this is what I think of this track, is very intense. Musically, it's just very driving. It's full of energy. Edge really goes for like a very desperate, pleading kind of sound here, as the rest of the band does. It's a very ominous kind of song. Lyrically, I believe it takes jabs at people who otherwise have this cocky image of U2 as being a safe rock band. And this song is a very angry, angst-ridden plea, or an angst-ridden retort against that notion that U2 is not a safe band. U2 are a band that are shaped by the political and social strife of their environment around the late 70s. And here in this track, it's like a pleading for peace in a way, while at the same time disassembling the notion of escapism. I mean, I'm not going to put any names, but a couple of bands around this particular point in the 80s were promoting more escapist kind of music instead of facing the harsh realities of the world around that time head on. And U2 was trying to turn that over in on its head. They were trying to say the questions and to speak the conversations that not many bands or groups wanted to talk about. And this track, they lay down the gauntlet on this one. It's an underrated track. I really think doesn't get enough attention. A driving song, especially awesome ending towards this song. When you listen to it, you'll hear what I mean. The next track, Drowning Man. Oh my gosh. Like the previous track, for me especially, this is one of U2's. This is a track that not many fans or not many people bring about. Well, I could be wrong, actually. Maybe fans do talk about this track because along with Acrobat from Achtung Baby, this is one track that fans, myself included, have really wanted U2 to play live, but they haven't been played yet. As far as I know, they rehearsed this track in the beginnings before in the rehearsal sessions for the last tour, the 360 tour, but they never really brought it out live because it sounded so special in this particular case, and rightfully so. I really want this song to be played, but only if the occasion brings up. The reason why this track is so special, even for me, is that this track is simply magnificent. It's beautiful. There's no words to describe this track. It's a beautiful piece of acoustic pop. This particular track, this song. When I hear this song and I read the lyrics, I think of a lover. At least these two lovers, boy and girl lovers. They are escaping from a major conflict and from a huge traumatic event or in a traumatic place, and this is the track that the boy tries to assure the girl, I assume both of them are refugees, to really hold on to each other, not to lose faith or not to lose hope in relying on the other person. And I don't know what it is in the middle to the end of this song where Bono sings "You run and not grow weary." There's I don't know if Larry is hitting a tom drum or something, but whatever it is, it produces this really beautiful. It reminds me of like thunder, of lightning, and I keep thinking that this song is their trip across from this location into the United States of America in a boat, and this is their journey over the Atlantic to this promised land of the United States, and really this track is simply beautiful. Anything I say about this track cannot be expressed, so look it up. I mean, I will leave a link in the description of the song. Listen to it for yourselves, and take this song as you will. It's beautiful. I definitely think so. The Refugee, another one of the harder rocking tracks off this album. Like The Refugee really has, again, like Seconds and Like a Song, is a more percussive vibe to it. It almost sounds disco in a strange way or not, but it's not a, let's dance tonight kind of thing. It's more a really, really percussive but really hard kind of song, and I think it speaks about a refugee, about crossing over to the other side of the world and taking her to this promised land, kind of similar to Drowning Man, except this is more percussive. It's a much more catchier song than the previous songs, and I like this track. I really, really do like this track, but what the heck, I really do like this track. It's not one of my favorites off this album, but it's one that is fun to listen to. It's fun to dance with, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Two Hearts Beat As One. Another one of those pleading pleading songs, pleading really intense tracks off here. There again, there is an explosive post-punk vibe going on with this particular track. Probably their most punk rock song, or one of their most punk influenced tracks on this album, like the rest of these tracks. And really, again, like in New Year's Day, Bono blends the political aspect of lyrical writing with the personal. Like, again, you can view this in multiple angles, whether from a political angle, a socially aware angle, or a more personal viewpoint into the lyrics of this album. I mean the song, Two Hearts Beat as One, the song. One of my favorite tracks off this album. I definitely adore this track. Again, Adam has that really cool, funky bass playing going on here. Like, this is a really danceable album, but not in the electronic sense, but more in the post-punk vibe of this particular album. And this track especially highlights Adam Clayton. He's all over this album, and that's especially awesome. Edge is fantastic here too. This is a rockin' song. I definitely love this track. Everyone is on point, especially Larry's drumming is awesome. Red Light, the 8th track. This track, I feel, is kind of a precursor to what the band are going to experiment with on the later albums, especially Rattle and Hum. That album, has a I don't remember the name of these other artists, but it's like the Coconuts. I think it's a group ensemble called the Coconuts, and has some of the female singers singing on this track, which really gives this a very, very almost kind of a sexual vibe to it, but it's not in the corny sense. The way they contribute to this song really only heightens the feel of the song. They heighten the flavor of this particular track to really give this a very loose and yet still controlled feel in a way. Like Red Light, obviously meaning a term for prostitute. Like if you go into very empty districts in town, that's a signal for, you guys probably know this a lot more, but it's a signal for, the prostitute's ready, for sex. And this track, when I read the lyrics to this song, I can't help but be reminded of Roxanne by The Police. Don't put on the red light. Like, this is a very similar subject matter to that song. But to this song's credit, Red Light, it's one of U2's most underrated tracks. At least I think so. And in my opinion, it is. And really points ahead to what's going to happen to U2's music in the future. But that's to be discussed on those albums. Track 9, Surrender, really musically is a prequel, at least I feel, is a prequel to Bullet the Blue Sky from Joshua Tree. Really has that really good edge slide guitar, that steel string guitar slide thing, but the way he does it kind of like really gives this extra push to the visceral feel of this track. Again, the backup singers from the Coconut Star guest stars on this track, and really gives this almost sensual vibe to this song, but not really so much to detract the character from this track. And really, as I've said in my album review, this track lyrically gives the vibe of this character looking out into the city, into the wider world, and thinking the choices that this character has made, and is in a way kind of regretting it, but in a way is looking towards the idea of hope to bring this character out of it. Like, maybe I need to humble myself to realize that I can't do this alone, that there has to be something more and more greater than the life I'm inheriting. At least this is my lyrical analysis on this track. Really one of U2's most underrated tracks. I really suggest definitely not suggest, but recommend you check this song out. And the last track, 40, this song has become a live staple in U2's catalog. Really, probably their first great closer to an album. This was made relatively quick, with very little time running out in the studio that U2 was recording in. This was all composed in 40 minutes, ironically enough. The lyrics were inspired by Psalm 40 from the Bible, and really taking that much time to really compile this track. And this track reminds me of Scarlet from October, really giving off this cathedral vibe to this track. But the imagery, depending on which way you look at it, still gives off a very spiritual feel. It gives off an impression that I'll give myself to hope, and in the end, hope. Whether you're atheist or Christian, doesn't matter. It's the belief that hope itself will guide me through this tumultuous time. And how long do we have to continuously sing this song about violence? Again, there's how long to sing this song as a lyric on this track, really making this a very interesting bookend between 40 and Sunday Bloody Sunday. Really ends this album off on a very enigmatic and yet hopeful note, depending on which way you view the lyrics. And this is a fantastic track. Edge's backing harmonies are super phenomenal. Larry too is great. Adam also really does a great job. And one last interesting note to put here. This is an interesting thing because in the studio, Edge and Adam, the bass player, they swap instruments. So Adam Clayton is playing the the acoustic notes on this track, while Edge is playing the bass parts off this song, which in tradition, as is going to go down in live shows, is especially if you watch Under a Blood Red Sky live in Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado. In the last track, you'll see them swapping their instruments, and Edge plays that fantastic notes there with Adam Clayton playing guitar. And this, I cannot think of a better song to end this off on. War is a fantastic album. Check it out for yourselves. I'll leave a description and a link below, and that's it. This has been a track-by-track review of War by U2. What's your favorite song, or what's not your favorite song? Leave your comments below. And I'll see you next time. Mr. Music Fan, War, U2 track reviews, and I'll see you later.